Goopy-goppy gore ties these two films together. Both spatter all kinds of bodily fluids in all directions and leave everyone, including the viewer, in need of a good bath by the end. Glorious not only will make your stomach churn, but will twist your mind with its clever story and wonderful performances. This is M.L. Miller Fright's Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Counting down the best in horror films released from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. According to me, M.L. Miller. Here we go. Number 26. Glorious was released on August 18th, 2022. You can find it streaming on Shudder. It's directed by Rebecca McKendry and written by Joshua Hall, David Ian McKendry, and Todd Rigney. Not that I've ever looked for one, but I can honestly say I've never seen an actual glory hole in real life. Maybe the route I take back and forth from Chicago to Ohio just isn't cool enough for one. Don't know. And I don't think I really want to see one. Still, I'm not sheltered enough to not know what one is. Glorious is a gory horror film featuring a guy in a rest stop bathroom talking with someone or something in the stall next to him that may be an interdimensional monster. After ending his relationship with his girlfriend, played by Sylvia Grace Krim, Wes, played by True Blood's Ryan Quanten, ends up at a rest stop with a car full of everything he owns. What he doesn't know is that in that rest stop, in the locked toilet stall next to him, through the glory hole carved into the stall wall, may be an otherworldly god creature named Gat, voiced by J.K. Simmons, who has a favor to ask of Wes. Directed by former Fangoria editor Rebecca McKendry, Glorious offers up everything a Fango reader might want in a horror flick. It's got a pair of genre actors doing what they do best, an out-of-this-world plot about the end of the universe with a wicked twist, and once it gets going, it's covered from rooter to tutor with blood and gore. What's not to like? Rebecca McKendry has taken what could be a stage play set in one location and made the film, which only runs about an hour and 15 minutes, filled with great acting, fun storytelling, and blood. Ryan Quanten has sort of made a career of playing lovable loser types. In True Blood, he wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he was ultra likable, and I'm surprised he hasn't broken out to be a bigger star since then. While I doubt Glorious is his breakout role, he does do a great job as Wes, who is utterly devastated that his last relationship didn't work out. He really does make you care that the world seems to be taking a huge dump on him, and actually got me rooting for him to somehow survive this weird mess he's gotten himself into. On the other side of the stall is the wonderful voice acting of J.K. Simmons. There isn't a role he's played that I haven't loved. Here he's equally likable as an otherworldly being attempting to protect the universe, if only he can convince this stubborn human to sacrifice something near and dear to him. Simmons plays this role straight and sincere, making you believe a mass of tumors and tentacles can actually have a soul. Seeing these two actors bounce off of each other for an hour plus is a real treat. And don't forget your raincoats, because this one gets messy. There's a point in Glorious where it actually rains blood, leaving every surface inside the men's room covered in the red stuff. But on top of this being extremely bloody, Glorious offers up some unhinged sights accomplished with a little CG and a lot of practical monster effects. The portions you do get to see of Simmons' Gat are disturbing and gross, but also quite beautiful in their own twisted way. Though there might be a lull in the action here or there in the middle, McKendry's swift direction and the story by Joshua Hall, David Ian McKendry, and Todd Rigney keep the momentum going by making the dialogue between these two characters interesting all the way through. Yes, Simmons has some flowery exposition every now and then, but because his delivery is so entertaining, I was hanging on every word. And while I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, when it finally does, the whole thing pays off wickedly. Script, direction, and especially the performances by the two leads also make for a successful combination for some dark, wicked humor throughout. Simmons especially has some extremely well-timed moments of surprising levity given the dire situation. Filled with bathroom humor and gore, Glorious deals with the end of the world and moral conflicts, but McKendry and crew never forget to make every moment fun. This isn't a world changer of a movie, but it is a fantastic little flick that makes the best of a single location, two talented actors, and some practical carnage. If you loved seeing Bruce Campbell fight otherworldly demons in a cabin all those years ago, Glorious should be your next destination spot. While daring to call your film Pussycake warrants some kind of recognition in this here countdown, the film also manages a compelling story and some badass rocker gals. Pussycake, aka Emesis, was released on August 30th, 2022. It's streaming on Screambox from Cinedigm. It's directed by Pablo Perez and written by Maxi Ferzola, Hernan Moyano, and Pablo Perez. Recently, we've had a lot of rock and roll horror movies. We got a film a while back called Deathgasm, where a death metal band takes on legions of demons. Another one called Spare Parts, where an all-girl rock band is forced to fight in gladiatorial games. And then we got another rock and roll horror feature just a little while ago, featuring a band who takes on a vampire roadie called Uncle Peckerhead. This year's rock and roll horror battles alien-infested zombies. When a scientist disappears after opening a trans-dimensional portal, his brilliant child mournfully attempts to redo the experiment. This only fucks things up even more when that dimensional portal begins to grow in size and scope, and strange insect critters flood through the portal, infecting and implanting eggs into the populace. This occurs just as a band called Pussycake is passing through the perimeter of the portal, causing their van and cell phones to stop working. Inside this circle, the critters attach themselves to the heads of humans, turning them into mindless zombies and causing them to vomit a white substance into the mouth of others to incubate eggs in order to make more slimy monsters. One creature, tough as nails and armed to the teeth, seems to be waging a one-man war on the critters, and Pussycake plops right in between that creature and the critters. Pussycake's carnage is non-stop from about the half-hour mark until the very end. Like the film's portal that is expanding exponentially, the action doubles upon itself the longer it plays out until the credits roll. Not many films can deliver this level of intensity for so long, but Pussycake is able to maintain it because of the crucial first 30 minutes while we're introduced to the members of the band. Now, that doesn't mean that all of the characters are fleshed out completely. They're all just kind of bad girls with hearts of gold, with two of them, Elle Cake and Sarah Cake, played by Maca Suarez and Aldana Roberto, in a relationship, and Elle recovering from being in an abusive relationship prior to that. The main difference between the gals, who seem to love each other dearly, is their over-the-top outfits that they sport. I must admit, while this is a rather surface-level way of distinguishing one character from another, it's an effective one, as every outfit is original-looking, form-fitting, and distinctive. I especially love Elle's fur coat, which has glowing polka dots under the surface of the fur. The distinct look also seems to reflect the personality of each band member, with the wilder one who experiments with drugs wearing a psychedelic fluorescent jumpsuit, and the more guarded one covered in the aforementioned bulky fur protecting her from the world. These little thematic nods in the costuming add some thematic heft. Basically, this is an alien invasion story, one we've seen before. There's nothing about the premise that is particularly different than, say, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or the way the xenomorphs are incubated in the Alien series. It's basically like any other movie where the human race is threatened with an alien infection. The thing is, with the pandemic in our rear windows, the very visceral way the infected transmit their eggs is bound to make folks squirm. Those with a vomit phobia are going to want to take a pass on this one. There's just so much puke and grossness in almost every scene of Pussycake. The alien spew sprays out of the mouths of the infected like a garden hose on full blast, drenching the faces of their victims in slimy goo. Not only that, but there are numerous scenes of carnage because if the monsters can't infect you, they decide they might as well tear you apart. There's an especially gnarly scene where someone gets multiple whacks to the face with a machete that is downright inspired. By the time this one ends, everyone is covered in blood, red spatters, and gooey slime. I also liked how this film turns conventions on its ear. In films like Critters and even Terminator, the aliens are followed by hunters bound to track down the monsters and eradicate them. This type of monster arrives midway through Pussycake, and while most of the time the hunter teams up with the human heroes to save the day, Pussycake turns the tables and refuses convention. Because some of the members of the band are infected and the uninfected bandmates don't know the rules of the critter monsters, when they see their bandmates in trouble with the hunter monster, infected or not, they're going to defend them. So the monster becomes another obstacle for the band to take on. Sure, had they taken a minute to understand the monster's intentions, they might have had a team-up, but the pace was so frantic that there really just isn't time for a meeting of the minds. Much like Fury Road, Pussycake never lets up until the very end. Its engine never runs out of fuel, and while there are moments of nice tension and suspense, most of the time it's just gals screaming, vomiting, and bleeding out everywhere. In the middle of it all is a pretty potent love story between Elle and Sarah, but it never gets in the way of the carnage. The emotional heft just makes it hit home harder. Every year there's a film that seems to use a silo of blood in order to display absolute carnage. Well, Gorehounds, Pussycake is this year's bloodbath, and it delivers a whole lot of gory excitement and bloody fun. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Be sure to hit all of the pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.